This is a third stimulus check update. I have a lot of important information to share with you in this video. The House has set a date to vote for the American Rescue Plan, which contains the third $1,400 stimulus check. President Biden said he does not support the $50,000 in student loan forgiveness. I'll let you know which state is giving a $600 stimulus check, give you some other updates, then I'll answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. I hope you're having a great day so far. I just want to take a moment. My heart goes out to all the millions of people who are suffering without water and power during these winter storms as the death toll is rising. This is a really unfortunate situation. If this is you or your family, my heart goes out to you. My prayers go to all the people struggling through this. It's a really bad situation. Moving on, let's talk about the low-income Californians that are going to receive the $600 stimulus check. So this is just for people who live in California. It's going to be around 5.7 million people who earn less than $30,000 per year. They're going to get that one-time payment of $600. Let me know down in the comments below if you live in California. Have you been notified of this? Or do you qualify? Are you excited about this? Let me know down in the comments below. So before we talk about the stimulus check and timeline, the newest dates, let's talk about briefly, President Biden said that he does not support the $50,000 in student loan forgiveness. So he was asked straight up, and he said straight up, I will not make that happen. Here's a clip of President Biden answering that question.
Student loans are crushing my family, friends, and fellow Americans.
Me too.
The American dream is to succeed, but how can we fulfill that dream when debt is many people's only option for a degree? We need student loan forgiveness beyond the potential $10,000 your administration has proposed. We need at least a $50,000 minimum. What will you do to make that happen?
I will not make that happen. It depends on whether or not you go to a private university or a public university. It depends on the idea that I say to a community, I'm going to forgive the debt, the billions of dollars of debt for people who have gone to Harvard and Yale and Penn and schools. My children, I went to a great school, I went to a state school. But is that going to be forgiven rather than use that money to provide for early education for young children who come from disadvantaged circumstances? But here's what I think. I think everyone, and I've been proposing this for 4 years, everyone should be able to go to community college for free. For free. That costs $9 billion, and we should pay for it. And the tax policies we have now, we should be able to pay for it. You spend almost that much money as a break for people who own racehorses. And I think any family making under $125,000 whose kids go to a state university they get into, that should be free as well. And the thing I do in terms of student debt that's accumulated is provide for changing the existing system now for debt forgiveness if you engage in volunteer activity. For example, if you're teaching school, after 5 years, you'd have $50,000 of your debt forgiven. If you worked in a battered women's shelter, if you worked and so on. So you'll be able to forgive debt. Thirdly, I'm going to change the position that we have now to allow for debt forgiveness, because it's so hard to calculate, whereby you can now, depending on how much you make and what program you saw, you can work off that debt by the activity you have, and you cannot be charged more than X% of your take-home pay so that it doesn't affect your ability to buy a car, own a home, etc. Each of my children graduated from school. I mortgaged the house. I was listed as the poorest man in Congress for, not a joke, for over 30 years. And but I was able to borrow. I bought a home I spent a lot of time working on, and I was able to sell it for some profit. But my oldest son graduated after undergraduate and graduate school with $136,000 in debt after working 30 hours a week during school. My other son went to Georgetown and Yale Law School, graduated $142,000 in debt, and he worked for the parking service down in Washington. My daughter went to Tulane University and then got a master's at Penn. She graduated $103,000 in debt. So I don't think anybody should have to pay for that, but I do think you should be able to work it off. My daughter's a social worker. My other son ran the World Food Program USA, and so on. They didn't qualify. But my point is, I understand the impact of the debt, and it can be debilitating. And I think there's a whole question about what universities are doing. They don't need more skyboxes. What they need is more money invested in making. So that's why I provide, for example, $80 billion, $70 billion over 10 years for HBCUs and other minority-serving universities, because they don't have the laboratories to be able to bring in those government contracts that can train people in cybersecurity or other future endeavors that pay well. But I do think that in this moment of economic pain and strain, that we should be eliminating interest on the debts that are accumulated, number one. And number two, I'm prepared to write off the $10,000 debt, but not 50.
Mr. President, let me ask you.
Because I don't think I have the authority to do it by sign of a pen.
Let me know what you think about President Biden's response. Is it the right thing to do to cancel $50,000 in student loan debts, or could that money be used for other causes to help out people in a better way? Let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. The Democrats were not too happy with this response, especially AOC. She said in response to President Biden, "Who cares what school someone went to? Entire generations of working class kids were encouraged to go into more debt under the guise of elitism. This is wrong. Nowhere does it say we must trade off early childhood education for student loan forgiveness. We can have both." Then she says, "The case against student loan forgiveness is looking shakier by the day. We've got the Senate Majority Leader on board to forgive $50,000. Biden's holding back, but many of the arguments against it just don't hold water on close inspection. We can and should do it. Keep pushing." So she mentioned Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer and AOC are basically the two people who are pioneering the path in terms of $50,000 in student loan forgiveness. President Biden campaigned on the promise, still on his website, forgive a minimum of $10,000 per person in student loan forgiveness. So it doesn't seem that President Biden is going to go for the $50,000 anytime soon, and he has the last say on it in terms of signing off on it. Moving on, food prices are on the rise and consumers should expect bigger grocery bills. Let me know down in the comments below, have you seen any grocery prices rise as you've been going food shopping? So in terms of increase, it's increased by 0.4% in December of 2020, and overall it increased 3.9% higher than 2019. And for poultry, meat, fish, and dairy, it's seen an increase of 4.4 to 9.6% over the year, which is pretty high. Let me know, have you seen a rise in your grocery bills when doing your food shopping, maybe by 4.4 to 9%? So for every $100, it could rise $4 to $9 more every time you go food shopping. Let me know. Next, I'm gonna play a clip by President Biden talking about the upcoming stimulus.
You've made passing a COVID relief bill the focus of your first 100 days. Those on the right say the proposal's too big. Some on the left say it's not big enough. Are you committed to passing $1.9 trillion bill, or is that final number still up for negotiation?
I'm committed to pass. Look, here's some of you are probably economists or college professors, or you teach it in school. This is the first time in my career, and as you can tell, I'm over 30, the first time in my career that there is a consensus among economists, left, right, and center, that is and including the IMF and in Europe, that the overwhelming consensus is, in order to grow the economy a year, 2, 3, and 4 down the line, we can't spend too much. Now's the time we should be spending. Now's the time to go big. You may recall I managed the last experiment we had with a stimulus, and it was no, I don't mean it that way, but it was $800 billion. We thought we needed more than that, and we think we did. It ended up working, but it slowed things up by about, and depending who you talk to, between 6 months and a year and a half. We can come back, we can come roaring back. It's estimated that if by most economists, including Wall Street firms, as well as think tanks of political think tanks, left, right, and center, it is estimated that if we pass this bill alone, we'll create 7 million jobs this year. 7 million jobs this year. And so the thing we haven't talked about, and I'm not going to go on because I want to hear your question, I apologize. We haven't talked about, I remember you and I talking during the campaign, and you had the former guy saying that, well, we're just going to open things up, and that's all we need to do. And we said, no, you got to deal with the disease before you deal with getting the economy going. Well, the fact is that the economy now has to be dealt with. And what is it? Look at all the people. You have over 10 million people unemployed. We need unemployment insurance. We need to make sure that, you have 40% of the children in America talk about food shortage. 60% of it. Did you ever think you'd see a day in Milwaukee? You'd see in the last 6 months people lining up in their automobiles for an hour or for as far as you could see to get a bag of food? This is the United States of America, for God's sake. We can't deal with that. We promised, look at all the people who are on the verge of being kicked out of their apartments because they cannot afford the rent. What happens when that happens? Look at all the mom and pop landlords that are in real trouble if we don't subsidize this in the meantime. Look at all the people who are on the verge of missing, and how many people have missed their last 2 mortgage payments and are able to be foreclosed. And that's why I took executive action to say they cannot be foreclosed on in the meantime. Because look at what the impact on the economy would be. You think it's bad now, let all that happen. Look at all the people who have lost their insurance. How many, I'm not asking for a show of hands, how many of you had jobs with corporations or companies that provided health care, the Cobra health care? Well, guess what? The company goes under, and guess what? You lose your health insurance. Well, we should be making sure you're able to pay for that so that we keep people moving. So there's a lot. So I think bigger, and the vast majority of the serious people say bigger is better now, not spending less.
President Biden saying bigger is better now, and that's what the economists are saying. Spend it all now to prevent later spending later. So even when former President Trump was in office, economists were saying the same thing. The spending needs to be done now to prevent any problems in the future. Kind of like that saying, one stitch saves 9. If you do it right now, you won't have to fix it later. Let me know what you think about that down in the comments below. Hopefully this will pass very soon. Let's talk about the timeline really quick. So when can you expect the next stimulus check? Basically, where we're at right now is the House has officially submitted all of their bills. It was separated into 9 different committees. They all submitted their bills together to be compiled into one big bill, probably thousands of pages. And now they're going over that, I guess, making the final draft. And then they're going to have the final vote for that on Friday, February 26th. So it's going to go in the House for vote Friday, February 26th. As we know, Congress doesn't always follow through with deadlines. They're saying that it could even go over the weekend as well. I just wish that they would stop dragging their feet, just get it done, pass it right now. It's been way too long, especially with President Biden making his promises it's going to happen immediately in $2,000 checks. But I guess, it seems to be going along with the March deadline of March 14th, where the unemployment benefits have their cliff. So hopefully it'll happen soon. Next, I'm going to answer the questions you leave for me in the comments. Reg Melvin asks, I have a question. I'm on SSI for my disability, and I got my first check through my MasterCard Direct Express card. I was wondering, am I going to get the third one through the Master Direct Express card as well? So it all depends. A lot of people who got direct deposit then the first time got paper check the second time, and then debit cards. And so honestly, there's no way of telling how you're going to get the third stimulus check. It could be in any form. So keep a lookout for physical mail and every other way that it could come. Roland Miller asks, if my student loans are in forbearance, Will they take my stimulus, and what's going on with the president forgiveness of student loans? So forbearance is fine as long as it's not overdue. Like if you didn't owe any money from the past, then you're good, because almost everyone's everyone's in federal student loans is in forbearance. So you should be eligible for that third stimulus check. In terms of student loan forgiveness, he said he doesn't want to do the $50,000, didn't even mention anything about the $10,000. Lenise Reed asks, if a woman is on welfare, how can she claim stimulus money? And if she hasn't gotten her second stimulus, how does she go about getting the third? So if you haven't gotten the first or second, or any money from dependents, not just anyone on welfare, but in general, you're going to file a small tax return. Really simple, it's completely free, and you're just going to say what stimulus money is owed to you. And I'll have a link down in the description below giving a quick tutorial of exactly how to start that process, but you're going to have to claim the rebate recovery credit. Next, Eleanor Marie Hosier asks, is the government going to help people who lost their apartments due to COVID? Unfortunately, no, they haven't mentioned anything like that. If you've gotten evicted or lost your apartment or house, they're not going to cover anything with that. Philip White asks, what is going on with extending unemployment benefits? So assuming that the next American Rescue Plan, the next big stimulus package passes before March 14th, then the benefits will just be extended until August 29th with no lapse in between and no effort on anyone on these benefits. It just continues and it'll go from $300 a week to $400 a week. And that is all the stimulus news I have for you today. To brighten your day and hopefully put a smile on your face, here is my daughter Bella's tip of the day.
Hi guys, so my name is Bella. This is the tip of the day. If you make a mistake, then it's okay. You learn from your mistake, it makes you a better person. So it's okay. It's okay. We still love you. We like you a lot. Bye.
And if you want to keep the positive vibes going and feel in a better mood, don't let limits exist in your world. Completely eliminate any limits you're setting on yourself or anything else in your world. Click this video if you want to learn more about that, about how to like yourself first and eliminate any limits that are holding you back. It's on my Wise Vibes channel. Click that video now and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, be safe. Thank you for watching.